What we're going to do here is we're going to cover the basics of Levelset, who we are, what we do for some of those that aren't familiar, and then we're going to do a deep dive into our tools that help you get paid faster so that whether you're a customer or not, you're going to be learning quite a bit. So before moving forward, I do just want to say that we are recording this live session. You're going to receive a link to the recording in your email tomorrow. Share that with whoever you want, whether it's your mother, your boss, your supervisor, your sister, someone else who is also in construction, who might be also experiencing some of the problems that brought you here today. I want to also make it known that if you do have any questions at all during our presentation, go ahead and use that chat box, and we'll answer them here at the end of the webinar. So make sure that you are asking those away. Now, a little about myself. My name's Julian Bustillo. I've been at Levelset for some time now. I'm a construction payment expert, originally from New Mexico. Now I live in the beautiful but very hot and humid New Orleans, Louisiana. I got interested in this space because my uncle was an electrician, and growing up, I saw all the frustrations firsthand of what it means to be working in construction and not be getting paid. So I started working with Levelset here to help businesses like my uncle's, like yours, get paid faster without experiencing some of these issues that are, synonymous with working in construction. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm motivated to talk to you guys today. So if this is, your first time at a Levelset webinar, or maybe your first time hearing about Levelset, just a quick overview of what it is we do and who we are. We're all about getting contractors paid. This problem that plagues construction, whether it be slow payment, non-payment, the opacity that is, so prevalent on every single construction job. We want to get rid of those problems. We want to empower everyone who works in construction to get paid what they've earned. The work is not easy, and that money that you guys are working for, that belongs in your pocket. So that's why we're here to help you get paid. We leverage our lien rights management software to help you do exactly that. Whether it's having to track lien and notice deadlines, verify the information that's needed to send those out, and basically just give you a tool to help you make it easy to manage all of that lien right paperwork and headache. So while that's one aspect of it, we want to give you everything you need to be empowered. So that might be a construction attorney to help you kind of navigate the whole legal side of things, buff up your contracts a little bit, or maybe it's insight into what's going on jobs, or who these contractors are if you haven't worked with them, what their history is like, all the way up through, just checking out our website and the resources available there. Or if you go on our YouTube, there are lots of educational videos on that as well. So enough about us. Let's go on and get into why we're here today. So I do want to just remind everyone, go to the Q&A box, put your questions in. We'll be addressing them at the end. But I'm seeing them, and we will certainly get to those. Now, just a brief little overview of what we're doing today. We're going to be focusing on lien rights, the overview, documents, how you can use those to set the right expectations, hold the necessary parties accountable, and have a headache-free job and work environment in construction, something that might seem like a fantasy to a lot of people. Ways to identify payment risk on your job. As well as tools that can help you avoid risky situations in the first place, whether it's pre-qualifying contractors or having a way to pivot in case you do see that problems are happening on your job, as well as what to do if you do run into an issue, right? How we can help you and give you advice and help you steer the ship on some of these complicated issues. And then at the end, we'll get into the Q&A. So kind of our creme de la creme, why we're here, how we started as a business. It's helping you, become lien rights experts. While some of you might be this already, others, this will give you a helpful insight into what lien rights can do to transform your business. So just a little bit of backstory. Liens, lien law, that's something created specifically for construction. right? You don't find it anywhere else. It's only applicable to this industry because unfortunately, a lot of problems come up. Construction is one of those industries where you do the work before you get paid, and it poses a lot of problems, right? Not to mention just the frustration and headaches that are involved with collecting. So whether it's getting paid on time or speeding up the payment process or avoiding issues of non-payment or write-offs, that's why we're here. That's why our business started. Because the sad fact of the matter is that in construction, the average time to payment is 82 days. I don't know about any of y'all, but one of my first jobs was in a kitchen as a busboy. If you told me the day I was coming expecting my paycheck that, hey, it's going to be here in just shy of 3 months, I'd be looking for another job. And so we want to change that. That 82 days, that's daunting. It puts a tremendous strain on cash flow in businesses, especially if you're in a period of growth, and just navigating everything that's going on, whether it's the rising cost of materials, the labor shortage, or just the effects of inflation and the post-COVID world. So this is a way to easily make sure that you are adhering to all the different pieces you need to do and actually giving yourself a form of recourse, leveraging your rights so that you're getting paid easily, right? Ensuring that you don't have to take on more drastic measures. So one of the things that, I hear oftentimes when I am speaking with people about evaluating a process change is, hey, this sounds great. I understand the value of this, but I don't have time for this. I might not be wanting to, be spending my time sending out these different notices, tracking these deadlines, finding all the correct information, driving to the county recorder's office, right? Listen, I understand that. Our job here is not to put more things on your plate, right? Most people are busy enough as it is. I know I talk to a lot of people on the business side of things who feel like they're wearing so many hats they just can't fit through the door. And so what we do is we help get this process started, but without creating more work. So whether that's, helping get your data into Levelset, having a way to automatically track and manage your deadlines, sending out the necessary requirements to set those expectations to show that you are professional, you understand your rights, and you have a form of recourse, whether it's one job at a time or notices sent out in bulk. It all depends on your personal preference. The other piece I like to highlight here is when it does come down to these, high risk legal documents, we want to make sure that everything is sent out properly, right? That they're all valid. And so we go the extra step in this situation. We have a research team. One of my good friends here in New Orleans, he's actually on it. And their job is to work to make sure that every single thing that comes out on your behalf through us is done so properly, right? Making sure that you are protected and every single necessary piece of information that's on there is there. And that's one of the best parts about this, right? So while that's all great, there's still risk that's involved with jobs. And so we want to make sure that we're getting out in front of that. So in addition to sending notices and payment reminders, you can use our risk reports to start your job off with some peace of mind, right? I don't know if any of you guys are Yelpers or you like to get on Google and do checks before you are working with a new contractor. I don't know what your vetting process is, or if you have one, or if you feel like there's just not time. Well, maybe you're considering working with a new contractor and you just have no idea what their payment history is, how many disputes they've been involved in, or you feel like you don't have time to go ahead and do that, right? You can utilize our risk reports to essentially give you a report card on potential new customers you're looking to do business with. So you'll see things like if there was a payment dispute in the last 90 days, a job disputes index, their typical speed to payment, right? So like when they're saying, oh yeah, we're net 30, we'll pay you in 30 days. Are they actually paying in 30 days? Does it stretch out to 60, maybe 90, 120 plus, right? And then an overall payment score. So you can quickly understand, hey, this is how this company works. This is their payment history. And you can get that at a glance. So it's essentially a construction specific credit report so that you can go into new partnerships with confidence. You can build relationships with new contractors and know that, hey, at the end of this, I'm going to get paid in full and on time. So while risk reports are a great way pre-project to vet new companies that you might be working with, our job radar premium is a feature that helps you while you're on the project, right? While the project is going on, now that you've vetted everyone, well, there are a lot of different parties, right? There are a lot of different pieces at play on a typical construction job, and you're just one of them. So how do you know what else is going on? How do you remove that layer of opacity to finally get the transparency that you need to operate with confidence? And so that's what our job radar premium feature does. So let's say you've decided to work with a contractor based on information provided in your risk report, and you've sent out the necessary notices required through Levelset. So we want to make sure now that we have the same level of visibility and can address any potential payment issues immediately in real time while you're working on a project. So this is going to, it's a tool that's going to provide you with alerts that help you monitor the flow of payment on the job. So things like payment issues and potential payment delays, lien alerts, letting you know if a lien has been filed on a job, if a company on your project is filed for bankruptcy, if someone has been paid. And for those of you in states with notice of completion, you'll get those alerts as well. And so I always like to point out, to use the example of, imagine you're a subcontractor on a larger commercial job, and let's say you're in the back half, right? Let's say you do some things like you're doing electrical work or something like that, right? You're not one of the first subs on the job. Well, it's a big job, big commercial job, and the concrete and excavation sub, they come on, and all of a sudden you see in here, okay, a notice of intent was filed, or some other document that might tip you off that, hey, there's potentially a problem here. Well, now you know that there's a problem before that problem affects you. So instead of waiting for the contractor who hired you to say, oh yeah, check's in the mail, or oh, let's reconvene in 30 days, something like that, one of those classic push-off excuses. Well, now you know there's already some sort of payment constraints here. Let's go ahead and tailor our strategy accordingly to that. So maybe instead of waiting 10 or 15 days to send that first payment reminder after our invoice goes out, let's send it a little earlier. Let's just be a little bit more assertive with our collection strategy in this particular case, because we already know that there's some money problems going on. So that's information Job Radar Premium is going to let you know. That's going to give you, let you know what's happening in real time, so you can make sure that your payment's secured when it's time for you to do your work and get paid. And so whether you're working with a GC for the first time or for the 40th time, whether they like to send out notices or not, this is going to be the tool that's going to help you keep tabs on your job. So together, all these things in tandem, that's going to be your comprehensive protection to avoid risk on your job, get paid in full and on time, avoiding payment issues altogether, and doing also without having to file one of those liens that could potentially put your relationship at risk. So all those tools, whether it be risk report, lien rights management, and the notice sending out, Job Radar Premium, all of those work in tandem to ensure that you get paid for the work you performed, right? They work in conjunction with one another. So, but in a perfect world, right? That's great. Unfortunately, some of you guys have come to us because you find yourself in the midst of a problem. Maybe you didn't know about one of these preliminary notices in a state you just started working in. Or maybe, you didn't have a contract and it was a good old boy handshake for someone you've been working with for a while, and they went up and they got out of town. Well, we want to make sure you're protected in situations like that as well. And so that's when our Legal Guard tool becomes a tremendous asset. It's going to give you a way to, if you are outside of your lien rights, a way to put together a strategy to help navigate the complexities of the construction and lien law world, so you can put yourself in a position to get paid. Or maybe let's say it's like the second situation where you didn't have a contract, you were left vulnerable because of that, and you were smart and you learned your lesson. You said, hey, I'm never going to be in a position where I don't have a contract, but I just don't know where to start. I don't want to use these templates that are online, and I don't know any attorneys, or I don't want to pay some exorbitant retainer. Well, they can help you out there as well, right? They can help you put together contracts. ladled with clauses to help put you in a position where you finally feel confident entering into new agreements. And so this, coupled with protecting your lien rights, that is how our contractors make sure that they're avoiding problems. They're getting paid. They're not stressing. They're sleeping well at night, right? That's how everything finally comes together and works in tandem. And so I like to share one of the success stories we had with a recent partner of ours named Michelle, who used these tools to help her do exactly what we're talking about. And, as a reminder, if any questions are continuing to pop up, I see some are still going out, put them in the chat box. We'll go ahead and address them. But I always like to highlight the positives, right? A lot of this that we're talking about, it's okay, you ran into an issue or you're not getting paid, but, I want to also look at the flip side of that. So I want to draw your attention to the top alert here, notifying that someone got paid, right? Hopefully that's going to be you. Because when we're talking about liens and risk management, our brains are going to the negative. What if this or that happened that will negatively affect us? But it's important to acknowledge the positive, that you can use the tools mentioned here today to see the flow of payments coming in on time without liens. So Michelle came to us. She was supplying equipment, supplying lumber, which most of you know is just getting more and more expensive to a job. And she was really apprehensive about it because she wanted to make sure that, there were no liens. It was with a company that she'd taken a bid for, so she didn't have a relationship with them. And she was in a particularly cash-strapped position. So she really couldn't wait too long to get paid. And she didn't want to dig herself in this hole that she felt she'd have trouble getting out of. So what she ended up doing was she started leveraging our job radar premium feature, did a quick look at the job she was about to start supplying materials for, and saw, hey, there are no liens, there are no payment problems on this job. I feel confident going ahead and starting this process, right? Supplying these materials. I mean, when you're talking about, tens of thousands of dollars, it's a risky thing. So she felt confident, she had the peace of mind, and she was able to make good margins on it and get paid quickly without having to potentially have that payment strung along or put the relationship at risk, demanding, payment upon delivery. So that's just one way that people like to use our features to help them end up, getting paid. So here's, I want to share a couple of quotes from customers who are using these tools and, using the software to avoid payment problems. So they found that it solves the vast majority of these payment issues. The combination of risk reports, lien rights management software, and job radar premium. It's going to help you monitor your jobs that are in progress, so there are no surprises, and that uncertainty with payment that probably pretty used to, that becomes a thing of the past, right? And so you can look at these. Isla says that they use job radar alerts as an opportunity to take a deeper dive into their own AR, and they're using it as an early warning system to take a look at potential problems. And you guys can quickly glance over the other two, but I know there are a lot of questions here, so I want to go ahead and address them. And I know that was a ton of information, so I'd like to give you the chance to ask some questions. I'm going to start attacking the ones that are already in the chat, but you can go ahead and write questions for me in the chat box right now if you haven't already. So it looks like, let's see. One of the questions here is, when you are doing a pre-qual risk report on a potential client, will they know you ran the report? Great question. No, they will not, right? You don't want them, you don't want someone looking in saying, oh, they think that I could potentially be risky. No, we use a database of information, and the contractor will not be alerted that you've run a risk report on them. So you don't have to worry about potentially, hindering that relationship. Great question. Another one, can you still collect retainage after signing a final lien waiver? Okay, this is a great specific one. Yes, you can use a mechanic's lien to recover retained money, but that lien would need to be filed within the necessary lien period. So you need to be, adhering to all those steps prior to, and that deadline is strict. However, if you do want to wait until the end of the project, likely you might lose that lien protection. So if retainage is never paid, you'll then have to recover it in some other way, whether that be, making payment demands, taking the matter to small claims court, or potentially pursuing litigation. That's another great question, and I love the specificity with that. Another one, it looks like, what type of information does Job Radar show that would matter the most to me? So, I mean, that really depends on your role. Most people I talk to, they say liens are the top priority. That's a very clear-cut, definitive sign that there's a problem on this project. But I know other things that are really popular, as far as things that'll, tip you off to something: bankruptcy, and notice of completions, right? As far as bankruptcy goes, I was just working with a contractor recently, who is out like $156,000 on a project, and they were weary to send something out. They sent out their preliminary notice, but they were weary to send anything else out because they said, hey, we've started talking with the contractor again, and we don't want to do anything to, get them upset at us and ruffle any feathers. While I totally understand that, relationships are the foundation of the industry, the lifeblood of construction, at the same time, when a bankruptcy does occur, basically what they're going to do is they're going to look and say, here's the allotted money, and then they're going to start giving it out to each person. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you're prioritized. You're at the front of that line. If you imagine all the subcontractors lined up, like I was saying in an earlier example. So by retaining and leveraging your lien rights, what you're doing is you're protecting yourself in the event of these potentially unforeseen circumstances. And what that's going to do is then when you see in Job Radar there's a potential bankruptcy, hey, I got to act fast. I want to make sure I'm prioritized. And when they are doling out that money, I want to make sure that I'm getting what I worked so hard for. Another great question. Okay, it looks like there's another one here. Do you file the mechanic's lien on the entire contract amount or only the outstanding amount? This is a super common question and one that gives a lot of people trouble, because if that lien is filled out with the incorrect information, it could potentially put that whole claim at risk. So when filing a mechanic's lien and taking it to court, the priority must be recovering the amount owed according to your construction contract. So the contractual amount includes the written and the signed change orders and any retainage that you've been billed for but haven't received payment on. So I hope that provides a little bit of clarity to the situation, right? Now, looks like we have a couple other questions. One, what do I do with the information in a risk report? Well, so risk reports, right? That's going to be your vetting process, right? So they're going to provide a snapshot of your payment history, how good of a partner they are, how quickly they pay. And it's going to be a really good indicator for payment reminders and demands. Oftentimes when I'm speaking with people and they don't really have a way to vet new companies that they're considering working with, this is really common if you're, doing a lot of bids, or if you're branching into a new state. Risk reports are going to be an invaluable tool, because without taking any chance and without spending a lot of valuable time researching and cross-referencing companies, this is going to be a pretty clear and definitive sign as to how they actually are. I mean, we live in the age of the internet right now. We can send, you can put just about anything out there. So it's important to have something definitive. So last question from Donna about Utah, and then we can close it out. Hey, Donna from Utah. The question is, in Utah, we are required to go through the construction registry. Does Levelset take care of this? It's a great question. So one of the important aspects about like what Levelset does is it's going to be tailored to each state. So if you are in Utah, there are different requirements than Florida, California, etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to help you in that situation, right, with Utah specific, making sure that you're doing everything according to the books, right? So whether that's going through the construction registry, in some states, you have to get things notarized. There are a lot of different things. So we're going to make sure that we're adhering to all of those to ensure that, everything is done up to code, up to snuff, and in accordance with your state specific guidelines. Well, it looks like we're just about wrapping up here. So let's go on to the last slide here. I want to first say thank you so much to everyone who's attending. Congratulations for investing in yourself, in the business, taking time out of your day to learn a little bit more. I've had a great time here on this webinar. If you have any other questions, please reach out to me. You can email me at, my name is Julian, Julian, at levelset.com. My phone number is 504-285-4174. But if you don't want to write all that down, just go ahead and scan that QR code on the screen and I'll reach out to you as soon as possible. But thank you so much to everyone for attending. As I mentioned before, you'll receive a recording of this webinar in an email tomorrow. And I want to say that, today's presentation, it was a high-level overview of what it looks like to use the software to help you make data-driven decisions for your business to avoid payment risks and slow payment. But if you do want to dive a little bit deeper, scan that code. I'd be more than happy to talk a little bit more about your specific situation and everything. But thanks again, everyone. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of May. Good luck for June.